A blue side Skarner ban. Don't see that all the time. So RNG don't want to give that one over to Tarzan. He had an MVP performance on the Skarner in the playoffs up against NIP when he was able to get on top of that one. So if you thought Tarzan couldn't helm one of the best junglers in the LPL in the world right now, he's already got the track record to do so. Interesting to see where this last ban goes. Might tell where AL want to go with their turn pick here. They're going to take away the Lilia. So it's another draft where we leave up Jace, we leave up Mbessa, and we leave up Gwen, which becomes the B1 here for RNG.
Had to know that this was going to happen. No Sejuani ban this time, so opens up the Yone and the Sejuani again from Tarzan and Shanks. What is Flandre's answer into the Gwen? Because when we have seen Flandre play, I think his Jax wasn't too inspiring. There are not many other AD bruisers. I think that the fact that they peeled away or picked away this Lilia kind of forced RNG's hands. They're like, okay, look, you're going to have to pick the Gwen, otherwise we're going to try to take up a very powerful duo. milkyway going to grab the Vi again. Want to see him sync up with one of his solo lanes here, because that was the problem. The last time we saw this, it was milkyway with the Vi. You wanted to see the Mbessa get involved, get those cease and desist public execution combinations. RNG are going back to that same well, but in this draft already, you want to look for milkyway and Tangyuan to duo up with those Aurora Vi combo and look to be aggressive, because we got a Vladimir in the top side. We've got a Yone in the mid lane for Shanks. The scaling threat of these solo lanes for AL is not to be trifled with. It's been a while since we got the Vladimir. AL were one of the first teams to break this champion out all the way back into Masia Cup just 4 months ago. And now they're here doing it again. Does mean that the top side is going to be a little bit weaker here for AL. Their ability to contest around Grubs is going to be a bit of a question. But once we get into those later game team fights, the Hemo Plague damage amplification is going to be insane. So RNG need to find early success and make sure that they're putting the screws onto this Vladimir and the rest of anyone's legend.
For AL, I do like starting off that Ashe ban. We saw the one thing that kind of disabled the Ashe from JiaQi in that last game was up against the Gwen. You got the Gwen on your side, so the Ashe ban takes a ton of sense. You still need a secondary engage piece alongside this Vi and this Aurora, as the Alistar ban does come down here, trying to take away some of those beefy frontline threats to pair with Tarzan. So far, both teams doing a pretty good job isolating weaknesses in their comps through the second phase of bans.
So what are the AD carries going to be here? When we look at kind of what AL are going for, I still think Corki is perfectly fine. Ezreal making it all the way through when we talk about wanting to get away, but Ezreal and Corki don't play particularly well with a champion like an Aurora or a Gwen, so wondering if we're going to get more opting into strong team fighting here for Hope.
I thought Hope would love to go for a Corki angle here, playing with that same composition. Definitely going to be a lot of people up in your face as well with the Gwen, the Aurora, and the Vi. But yeah, that's just extra protection. So it's really hard to ever hate an Ezreal pick, especially staring down a Vi on the other side.
So AD carry is going to be so important because I think it'll dictate in what form we're going to see RNG move forward in this game. Whether it is going to actually be this Tristana does mean that we are expecting for RNG to want to play forward, want to dive in. I think Kai'Sa still plays that. Depends on what form of Kai'Sa this is. You are heavily disincentivized to go magic damage in this comp with Aurora and Gwen, but if you want to be able to outrange AL and prevent them from playing the game, I think it is a better option for this champion.
Does really open up a clear item path here for Tarzan, right? I mean, you could stack some MR and be impervious to any form of damage from this comp. The only AD threat in this game for RNG is going to be milkyway's Vi. So Tarzan is in a huge spot to become just a giga tank in this game if it scales up enough, stacking that MR. If you, like you pointed out, Alk, you get JiaQi still going that magic damage-based Kai'Sa build. There are two pivotal ones. We'll have to see once we get onto the Rift here. R5, though, coming across for anyone's legend. They're going to give the counter pick over to their support. Kael is going to lock into Leona, so it's clear engage, clear setup for Flandre and Shanks to run wild in these fights.
if they can get to 2 and 3 items, AL just straight up win this game. I think it is very
I've heard
difficult
that
for
before.
RNG to play. And for Royal Never Give Up, they have so many options to kind of keep this game going. Aurora has so much damage packed into her passive, and with Gwen, you do have the ability to scale. I think that this is a very close game between these two just from draft alone, but we need to see them actually play this out. And the early games have been rough for RNG. They seem a little bit lost in the middle of the games, and that is, I think, where a team like AL is going to prey on a team like RNG.
It's the exact same jungle pick for milkyway, where he struggled to really find avenues in. And for, that young prodigy, one of the hyped-up jungle prospects of past, waiting for his breakout moment, moving over to RNG, we are still waiting anxiously. And milkyway, no better spot than now to try and threaten one of the contenders for the LPL crown, trying to go to the international stage to give RNG their first win of Split 2. We'll have to see if him and Niket can get the ball rolling with this Rel and Vi combination. It's another game where we're waiting for the team that's been struggling to show some aggressiveness out the gate on the Rift.
Finally, we get to see Niket on an engaged champion. He's been stuck on Renata duty for a little bit here. I think that is one of the bad things about this is, like, yes, you can try to play these double range matchups, but I think taking that away from a player who is so proficient. I mean, you look back at last year, Niket on Rare Adam, he was almost solo carrying this team in a lot of games, and it came off of his engages. So I want to see Niket back on the horse, back on the Rel. Can he bring RNG to that first win? It's still going to be pretty difficult when you look who's across the board from you.
If there's ever been a game to adopt the mantra of drop the nameplates and play it out, it's this spot for RNG. The 6th and final game of day 3, as we all get to soak in the Gios one more time before we say goodbye to Group B for a couple of days. And we get to the Rift. Do see some interesting rune and itemization points. You talked about how important these AD carries were going to be, and I do see that JiaQi is going the lethal tempo, so that does usually signal that traditional AD path build for the Kai'Sa.
For now, it does give her some extended. I think when we are looking at this game as a whole, yes, usually, like you were saying, it does kind of hint towards going towards the AD, but I think lethal tempo when you're playing into a Leona, Sejuani, and eventually the Yone, you are thinking, okay, we're probably playing a pretty long fight, so going to get some additional, value from being able to stack plasma procs.
Seeing a leash here coming across here for Niket and JiaQi. That would tilt the hell out of me as an AD carry player. And leashing is dead, guys. We need to help those junglers on the clears. And now I'm taking mystic shots to the face. I'm already getting grief, but I guess he'll get milkyway started on his clear a bit quicker.
Yeah, so early on, it is more incentivized for AL's bottom lane to take shorter trades. 'Cause, again, plasma procs early on can do a lot. But I think the idea here is recognizing, like, we can be stronger on level 2. We know that probably we're not going to get a lot of early push between Ezreal and Leona. And helping out milkyway versus Sejuani, I think, is perfectly fine. It means that he gets to the top wave and gets to one of these lanes just a little bit quicker.
Oh, boy. Niket jumps in, level 1. Level 2 ticks over for Hope and Kael, and Niket has to burn the flash. Early woes continuing to shine here for RNG. That's going to really limit so much of their early potential in the bottom lane and furthermore on the map.
That is very strange to me. Okay, we get our... Man, so these graphics, I hate this. So it's been a while since we've gotten top lane Vladimir, but we literally saw Vladimir 4 months ago. I wish we counted Demacia Cup. Flandre now in a tough position, has the pool, also has the flash. He is behind him, and Tarzan's nowhere nearby.
The Vault Breaker falls a bit short. Going to go into the pool, holding the flash, going to burn it, and that's going to get Flandre out. So, again, early woes on these just simple combos for RNG, keeping them out of kills.
He's on the very edge of that Vault Breaker, but mistakes like that, you just can't be making. Tarzan now on vision. The wave is pushing away from Xiaoxu. And he can teleport back for this, but Tarzan's like, if you step up too far, I think you're a little too far in the lane, brother.
This is AL we're talking about. You cannot make these mistakes or Tarzan's just going to punish you. Xiaoxu is going to just go down with ease. Flandre goes from nearly giving up first blood to grabbing it for AL.
And now, I mean, Tarzan can go right back to his camps, can go straight to the bottom side of the map after grabbing the red buff. And he's just going to be able to feel so good. This Vladimir, who is a champion that is so incredibly weak in the lane, something that typically Gwen can try to take advantage of, most champions can try to take advantage of. You do not want to be getting into a situation where we're playing against 2-3 item Vladimir, and you walk into a team fight, he drops Hemoplague on your backline, and you just can't play the game. Oh, no!
Are we reganking
Niket's
here? All right.
coming.
Niket's coming up top. Tarzan's on a ward, so this is a trap, potentially going to be sprung by RNG. Tarzan's trying to reset. He thinks he's safe in that brush, but that brush is about to be set on fire. Here comes Niket crashing in. Tarzan going to go back towards his top lane, and with there no crash down or flash available on Niket, it's going to allow Flandre and Tarzan to get back towards that turret.
Right now, Milkyway is trying to find a recall timer. Maybe he looks for a play in mid. Shanks is getting a lot of DPS done to him in this mid lane. Tangyuan is doing a pretty good job of being able to manhandle him. He's up a pretty sizable amount here in this lane.
This is the flip side, right? You bring Niket out of the bottom lane. This is a Kaisa into an Ezreal Leona. I mean, JiaQi doesn't get any farm, completely stifled. It's the power of what AL can do. No matter where you go on the map, they're going to find a positive play on the flip end.
So for right now, Milkyway just going back to his side of the jungle. Still hasn't taken his recall. Looks like he wants to try to get a Caulfield's Warhammer and some boots before he hits the base. And Tarzan just getting double scuttled. Pretty good advantage for Milkyway despite some early game flubs. And this does mean that because Tarzan doesn't really have an objective to play for, he can finish his camps and look to try to make a play onto Xiaoxu before his cleanse and before he gets level 6 on the Gwen.
That's an ego check right there from Shanks. He's like, I went level 6. Let's see if I can interrupt Tangyuan's back timer there. Does a pretty good job at it. It does take the Fate Seal down with those mid laner ultimates coming up first. So a Grub fight, a Drake fight. That Yone ultimate might still be down.
Yeah. That right there is mostly, one, to just try to see if Tangyuan is paying attention. But also does mean that Shanks does get back to the wave just a little bit quicker. He'll be able to shove this as well and make sure that he is ready for this topside play. You already see Kael's moving on forward. RNG have only just now recalled their bottom lane. And Niket's going to be late for this play. So Tarzan, I don't think you should be worried here. Yes, you're by yourself, but your bottom lane's about to come in and kind of bail you out of this. He instead says, I'm just going to go take my grubs. Okay, cool.
Flandre had a wave to catch in the top side. He wasn't level up on Milkyway as well. But hey, just taking one of those grubs away for now does make it a pretty pivotal second set of grubs, right? As you talked about all day, Alk, with these Gwen games, Xiaoxu is going to be a big threat if you give over those grubs and into an Aurora Crop as well as that's the flash out of Shanks. So this game around, RNG are still finding ways to get key summoners down. That's a good start for what we need to see from them.
Yeah, some of them are able to do, something here, but it seems like all of RNG are still trying to shake off the jitters, shake off the stage. Was, again, 0-2 to start here in this group. They're expected to lose up against AL, but any win that you can find is definitely going to help when we talk about keeping them away from that dreaded 4th place spot.
Tarzan and Milkyway still just dancing around camps here. Don't think either tick over to level 6 off it. Tarzan does actually grab Residential Prison. Was maybe looking for Tangyuan with that play, but will come off of it for now. Instead, looking just to invade, and this is the power of Tick and Ultimate, right? I get all your camps.
And this is so good. I love what we're seeing from AL. They know that their bottom lane have priority first. They make the first move. JiaQi's waiting, gets the ward. It's a fully stacked Q straight onto Kael. That's a lot of damage and a plasma proc.
They're just going to burn it through Niket. True Shot Barrage with the Glacial Prison is more than enough. But here comes Tangyuan off to the side. JiaQi knocks down Kael first. Fate Seal going to whiff from Shanks. Does not find its knockout. And now it's AL that are actually on the back foot. Tarzan has to flash over the red pit wall. Hope is very, very low. And Tangyuan knows it. Gets the pull back. Finds the kill. RNG say, no. Our jungle is not to be taken over.
Okay, good job. A lot of damage coming in from JiaQi there. Also utilizing the ultimate on this Kaisa. Shanks so far has had an off day to start. Yes, he was great on the Galio, but that first game from him versus Saber on Ultra Prime, he was getting bodied individually in the a Kali Yone matchup. And here again on the Yone, he is not looking as sharp as we saw him in Split 1. He was one of the biggest standout members. And as we take a look at this replay, again, all of his damage onto Kael is nice. I love the turn coming in from anyone's Legend. Past this point, though, it gets real risky. Tangyuan with his Between Worlds. I love that JiaQi gets in here. And another failed ultimate. Yes, it's the flash coming in, but it's small moments like these that are make or break for RNG.
And now after that interview came out, AL head coach, it's hard not to constantly make the the connection, right? All right, Tarzan's here. Shanks is the next Xiaoxu of the league. It's a tough comparison to play
like current day Xiaoxu. I agree. He's definitely doing that. So that part is coming true for sure.
But is that the Xiaoxu they were referring to in that interview?
Probably
that one's
not.
Up for speculation. Probably not is a good take.
Yeah. So we'll see if he's able to do that. Again, with this team, I think it is so incredible that they were able to not only grab Tabe, but now have Flandre and Tarzan. And we have so many different nicknames. Like we were talking about earlier, that Flandre really feels like the heart of this team. He's so jovial and he's just a very upbeat guy. And then Tarzan being the spirit, he's leading this team. The fact that he is both fluent in Korean and in Chinese is so wonderful to being able to help bridge the gap between not only the rest of AL, but also helping Kael, who for the most part is a pretty new player, all things considered. Played a little bit in LCK Challengers, but has really only found his spot on AL here in the LPL.
Has already been touted as one of those premier supports. Big piece of why AL made it to that grand finals. A lot of attention being shifted over towards this Drake pit. Yes, we are 10.5 minutes in, and this pesky first Cloud Drake has not been taken, just been trifled with. Next set of grubs are spawning topside, and how much do you think that's going to pull the attention away from this Drake once more?
I don't think that the only thing that I'm looking at is both of our top laners, Xiaoxu not having the TP and Flandre opting for the Ignite, so he couldn't join this play, even if neither of them could join, even if they wanted to. What I'm loving from AL is how they're playing around their bottom lane priority. Remember, that red side fight started with the fact that Hope and Kael had first move off of the wave, and here again, they make sure to push in the wave, then move for the objective. So RNG are going to be late for this. Maybe they turn.
They do kind of pull Tarzan's attention away from that dragon. Now he's going to look to try and just finish it off. They get the crash down out of Niket. They're going to limit a lot of that rel engage. But milkyway still has that cease and desist, looking to hunt out Hope, or maybe just look for a 50-50 here. True shot barrage down. Cease and desist comes across, but Tarzan gets the dragon. The Fate Seal comes across, knocks down milkyway. Next goes Niket. We were waiting for Shanks to have his pop-off moment on this Yone. Maybe it's here, but it looks like Tangyuan has something to say about it so far. Gets the trade kill and has Hope singled out with JiaQi chasing him down. The plasma stacks are more than enough. The dragon, certainly costly for AL as RNG win the fight out narrowly.
Anyone's Legend are starting to falter in some of these fights. It's minor things coming through, but we're getting to see JiaQi finally come into his own in today's games. It's been a couple of rough ones here for Royal Never Give Up, but it seems like JiaQi has always been willing to play on the edge, really play out to his advantage. Sometimes his team just really isn't in a great spot to be able to do so. And so far, Tangyuan on this Aurora, a champion we haven't got to see from him this year, is now finally coming through in this play. I mean, the Between Worlds cuts off the rest of this fight, and he is putting out so much DPS between the weirding and all of these passive procs. If you're able to get 2, even 3 passive procs off of Aurora, that is so much damage. It is illegal.
Well, in the picture, though, do see that once again RNG is able to back Tarzan off of these grubs. So we always talk about with these Gwen comps, another team sporting Gwen in the top side is going to have access to the mites. So another avenue for RNG to really spread the map out and force AL to play at their tempo.
Big thing for me as I look at this game right now, we're 12.5 minutes, almost 13 minutes now. RNG have 2 completed items here. This is a fully completed Ludens. JiaQi's got the Wild Arrows and a Sundered Sky for Milky Way. This is a huge power spike in terms of their ability to fight. And so we will look to see how RNG continue skirmishing. A lot of these have been predicated on AL actually starting them, but RNG are finishing them really strong. And I think the fact that they're able to now finally find a game where Milky Way and Tangyuan are on the same page is showing off in spades.
stark difference. I mean, it's easy because milkyway's on that exact same Vi this time round. He's 4 or 5 KP, looking to be proactive on this Vi. Definitely making this our most intriguing game, potentially, at least of my set so far, with where we've been at. But Tarzan looking to shake that up a little bit, catching JiaQi on a roam. Gonna have to burn the cleanse, but the glitch person comes right out after. Killer instinct, though, gets JiaQi out, and they get Kael to flash out. Shanks on the back end, trying to use a spear form, gets the fate sealed onto JiaQi and executes him. Tangyuan trades out Kael. Tarzan on the wrong side of the map, but should be able to walk his way out, so it's the mid laners on both sides starting to have some big impact.
But that's a shutdown going over to Shanks and some alone time on this bottom lane wave. A good play coming in from the mid laner of AL. And Tarzan is like totally fine with this. Now he can just shadow and protect his mid laner. Tangyuan with no ultimate, I think they are feeling like they can fight this. Even no ult between the two mids, this should be free.
Yeah, they have way more skirmish threat here without those ultimates. Tangyuan gets back towards his turret though. Niket crashes out, so they will be fine for now. But the scope of this game, as we crest over 15 minutes, get rid of those turret plates, very even set game. And what's really making it even more intriguing going forward here, Alk, is knowing both junglers have the ability to start fights whenever they want.
Tough, 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 tough. We talked about some of the scaling coming into this game, and while AL have some more play making potential, I think it's not quite as easy to kind of count out RNG. Again, Gwen, a monster on 3 and 4 items. Level 16 Gwen just rips apart anybody with the ultimate. And, I mean, you have the Kaisa, you're going to have the Aurora as well. I think if AL can't find the right engage, because you are kind of reliant on either Tarzan, Shanks, or Kael to land CC,
right,
you might fall into a pit where you just can't really make good plays happen.
milkyway looking to make some more plays, getting aggressive towards Tarzan's jungle, but gotta be careful poking the bear that is Tarzan, the spirit of this Anyone's Legends team. Instead, it looks like they're gonna go after the heart. Flandre, just too slippery, especially with the Sanguine pool being offered. He's hitting a bit of emotes as he watches all of RNG leave, and they're going back down river to try and find a fight into Tarzan and Kael. A ton of CC being used on the tank front line, and Flandre's going to fly in with the Vladimir ultimate, but it's not in time. The healing isn't going to be there. It's JiaQi and Milky Way that bring it home for RNG. 3 kills to nothing, and they're going to grab a Rift Herald as well as they explode onto this game 3.
Why are we trying to make the engage onto Niket, onto Milky Way? We need to be finding answers onto JiaQi. Completely uninhibited. He flies right into the backline, ignores Hope, and just breaks open this game. It will be feats of strength going over to Anyone's Legend, but they are losing fight after fight after fight. And look at Tangyuan now. Level 12 matching his opponent, but with 5-0-3 scoreline. We get a replay of this. I just don't get this. You're a composition that wants the fights to go longer, but you need to poke at your opponents. Hope has just barely landed 2 spells onto RNG, but by the time this happens, his front line is gone. What are we doing from Anyone's Legend?
Being forced into disadvantageous fights. They need to... The Vladimir is not at the point where Flandre can just drop his ult, hit 1E, and take away all these squishy health bars. Shanks needs more time on those side lanes. The important thing to take away so far from this one is that RNG are finally playing almost fearless.
Well, yes, it's a best of 1, so they are inherently playing fearless.
Without fear.
Yeah,
Fearless,
there you go.
the other one. Yeah,
you walked into that one, okay?
I did.
But, yeah, I love how coordinated they feel. And this was the RNG that I was excited for. This was the RNG that I had coming second in this group. It is when Tangyuan and Milky Way are on the same page. I'm glad that whatever they did during that time did them well so that they can be prepared to play. Now, it's only 1,000 gold difference. And right now, Shanks got a bottom tier 1, moves up to topside, gets another turret here. RNG need to be staying on the map and staying proactive to make sure that they don't lose their objective lead.
They'll take the dragon trade for free, but that's their first dragon of the game in 18 minutes. Monster slaying. Dragon stacking feels like a pretty long away conversation. They don't get that mid-tier 1, and Flandre's able to catch the bottom wave. So I like this approach from AL, knowing, whoa, guys, we can't really just fight our way to a win this time. RNG are punishing us well. They're playing the sides, taking control of wave states so they can allow those 2 to 3 item spikes that you were talking about from Draft All to come for Flandre and Shanks.
What I want to see now from RNG, if they want to try to push the state of this game, go towards the top side of the map, maybe try to find out where exactly Flandre is. Maybe we get a pick onto Shanks. We know he has no teleport if you're tracking summoner spells, but looks like they're going to push on mid and immediately move towards the bottom side of the map. They want to make sure that they can see any vision, any movement from AL to not only protect Xiaoxu, but also thinking about the Otacon in 40 seconds as a possibility.
Another voracious one, giving everyone's favorite revive that can give you such a pedestal to force fights onto. Shanks, of all that gold you pointed out earlier, Alk, does get the Immortal Shield Bow done second, so second item spike coming through for that Yone. Flandre still without flash on this Vladimir, going to be coming up soon, so it's hard to punish him. Hope has both his summoners as well, so it's not going to be an easy pickings for RNG to try to start some of their fights, but milkyway certainly wants to brawl fisticuff style. True Shot Barrage, Glacial Prison, all used from AL just to assuage RNG from pushing for a fight.
They don't get much out of this. AL just putting out feelers, trying to see what exactly they can and cannot get away with. Was that Otacon?
Yeah, it was 100% Otacon.
Okay.
What do you think recording that in the voice booth was like?
It sounds like most play-by-play casters trying to do some vocal warm-ups.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't leak my strats, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro. It happens. Now, RNG have the Herald. They're going to summon it here in mid. And 2.5 minutes before the Dragon, again, gives them priority with a Kaisa on their side and a Gwen. They could very easily take this objective if they want to force the hand of AL. Maybe just grab a teleport or two. We already see Shanks on the red buff trying to give his team that global buff.
Ooh, and this is a minefield for AL to try and navigate. You can see how little vision they have around this bottom river, and they have to be careful because Milky Way or Niket can kind of fly in. Tangyuan going into that invisibility, looking to poke and prod. The Aurora brings a ton of this damage. Both JiaQi and Tangyuan done with 2 items on this Aurora Kaisa combination, as we do get that fully AD Kaisa coming through for the RNG AD carry, but Tarzan's hopping through with a bounce pad. No real first punch thrown yet, though. Milky Way doesn't hit the Vault Breaker, so everybody's just poking and prodding, trying to feel out what they can and cannot get away with.
But a Summoner spell taken away from Milky Way. No Ignite from Niket. Not going to be the game decider here. Maybe if Kael or Tarzan walk a little bit too far up. I think you can feel some of the tension here in the game. RNG with a slight gold lead. They really want to try to hammer this one home. You do not want to be ending your first day here in Group B going down 0-3. Also, if they would win, that would actually kind of break up some of the monotony of the other groups. So every other group has been 3-0, 2-1, 1-2, and 0-3. RNG could break the trend here with a massive underdog success against anyone's legend.
And then if they win that game, you're talking about the third place game. Can't believe we're having this conversation, but a win over AL would let RNG really threaten Thunder Talk to force them into that 4th place spot with the way they've been playing. So there's a lot of added Group B shakeup pressure in this one, with RNG still in a decently commanding spot. Not a ton of gold to play for, but there's a lot of those big elder monsters to play for. Otacon definitely catching the eye of both of our squads with so many members shifting down towards the bot side.
Now that Kaisa has the Evolve on her Q and a couple of her abilities, it is so easy for RNG to just clear the mid wave, have priority. So we're going to have this fight over the blue buff. Milky Way is going to win it this time. Dragon spawning in 20 seconds. Shanks is getting his recall in, probably going to buy a couple items and then probably look to TP on a mid wave. We're getting a fight. Tarzan's HP though.
He's half HP. In goes Kael with the Solar Flare. They get it down onto Milkyway, who gets chunked out himself. Hope's damage really started to turn out with that more mana. In goes Niket. Between Worlds is down, but there was not enough health on that stead for Niket, so he falls. Tangyuan's getting hunted by Tarzan off to the side. They do get Flandre down, though, and JiaQi really starting to stack the lethal tempo. Big Vault Breaker flies in. Shanks goes all out for JiaQi. Very low HP, but the Gwen is singing through. Does Xiaoxu have enough? No! Hope shuts him down with a Mystic Shot to the face, and now Milkyway's got to run for the hills. We were talking about the Vladimir, the Yone, this Gwen, the Vi and Aurora, but it was Hope to put the dagger on his Ezreal into RNG's heart.
There we go. AL finally find a team fight victory against their opponents. RNG just look a little too uncoordinated in that, so they'll lose summoner spells on all of their members. Niket goes down early. It was a massive fight, one that was dragged out and down to the wire. As we take a look in this replay, it starts with Tarzan starting off with half HP. It looks so questionable. I think the start of this was great for RNG, but I want to look at Tangyuan in this one. The guy who has been the man in the mid lane this game, he bounces back in and he's in the middle. He has no abilities. We cannot be doing this in such an important game for RNG. That right there puts the nail in the coffin for them, and JiaQi almost makes this play, almost wins the game for his team, but is not able to do it, and it is Hope, the man of the hour, the man that has been counted out, belittled for so long in the LPL, finally gets to have his team fight.
You called it out. When you let Hope start to churn Conqueror stacks, start out fights well, it goes good for AL, but this is not how they want to start with Flandre getting caught, but goes to the Sanguine Pool. Does not matter. Tangyuan finds the pick. Down goes Flandre. RNG not going down without a fight here.
And the longer that AL stay around this pit, Xiaoxu is sitting in the top side, won't have TP to join, but he can very easily take this objective. Milky Way.
Tarzan doesn't hit the Glacial Prison, but will it be enough? Yes, with a stash forward for Shanks. Down goes Milky Way. Niket getting hounded as well as Tarzan looks to push the tempo, but they're going to ease up on the brakes because with Jungler down, Voracious Otacon is going on to 5 members of anyone's Legends.
Tangyuan's here. Ultimate's
really
not available. Maybe they get Niket to come on through with an engage because JiaQi is here in the area.
Niket's down. He gets way too close to the might of AL, so he'll fall. But JiaQi's going forward, the Killer Instinct. Maybe Niket was just setting up his rookie of the split to find a big fight win. Shanks is going blow for blow. Tangyuan and Shanks trade themselves out. Voracious Otacon below 1K. And
he gets it!
Up by JiaQi. He steals it.
He's doing it!
Shuts down Tarzan and puts a shot into the face of Hope. There's your rookie of split 1 in the LPL, shining for RNG.
Quadra kill for JiaQi, and he comes up clutch for the team. It starts with Flandre getting caught out. We had questions of if AL were going to be able to hold on. And Slayer, god damn it, man, we've got a game here for the last game of Group B. RNG do not want to go out with a whimper here, and it takes a few fights, a few too many here. 3 items for Kaisa. Baron being started, Gwen and Kaisa will rip apart this, and AL find themselves in an uncomfortable position here in game number 6. We saw the re-engage, Niket just buying time. All of these abilities landing onto Niket just means it's open season for this Kaisa. Killer Instinct right into the back line, and this Runons is just putting in work.
Stacks up all 5 plasma on the Voracious Otacon in the middle of this hectic fight. Waits for the Essence Flux Mystic Shot. That's all of Hope's damage. The wherewithal to dash forward on the Kaisa. You know, your heart's pumping. You're watching every single member of AL to focus back up and take that Otacon. That is why JiaQi was the rookie of the split for us, for RNG, despite all their woes.
JiaQi was so exciting to watch in the LDL, was one of the best prospects in terms of AD carries. He'd been playing for a while down there, but to finally see him here, and I think I just love how in the middle of that, he just turns, auto-attacks Tarzan once, gets the kill there, and is able to open up on that fight. So now 4,000 gold and the Otacon revive. Still 40 seconds here. You've got Gwen splitting on the opposite side. AL are looking to go down 2-1 as the grand finalists, the Demacia Cup champions.
Against an RNG team that Started with a whimper, but now we're playing with all the confidence in the world as milkyway dives after Flandre once more. But keep your eye on JiaQi off to the side, just stacking auto after auto. And it's leading to RNG wiping the floor with AL. Hope has to run for his own fountain to keep himself safe. Shanks all the way in the top side, splitting for a tier 2 turret, but it cost him a whole lot. Now he's got his 1v1 with Shanks, but JiaQi is just too much of a juggernaut to shut down as he sends AL home with an ace.
There it is, and they got Baron. They can look for maybe the end here. The next most member is Kael in 8 seconds. Can RNG end this game?
No.
No. They're going to reset. They're going to send us to another few minutes in this last game, 50 seconds before the Dragon. There is no soul available, and AL backs against the ropes, 7,000 gold down.
And it doesn't seem like an end in sight here for the JiaQi show as we get another replay. This is the confidence we want to see from milkyway on this Vi. Start these fights. Have faith in the rest of your team. And JiaQi, I mean, at this point, is there anyone more confident than this guy on Summoner's Rift playing on this Kaisa?
How many AD carries are willing to step up versus Yone? Stands his ground, makes it happen with the plasma procs.
Oh, the flash.
And I gotta say, Flandre, we kind of talked about him a little bit on this Vladimir, but he has been the biggest liability in this game. Multiple fights starting out with his death. This Vladimir now level 16, almost there on 3 items. Is this going to be enough? Is this going to be what happens in this game where Flandre, one of the veterans of the LPL, is unfortunately the reason why AL cannot take Group B flawless victories?
You pointed it out, how much of a fright this Vladimir could be, but even if level 16 is achieved, 3 items is not far away. RNG have some built-in protections for that all-in. JiaQi, a GA completed to buy him space. Stasis available for Xiaoxu on this Gwen as well to avoid that giant Vladimir bomb with his ultimate. It is RNG with their foot on the gas, and they have the protections to continue forcing the fights on their front. I mean, just look how much further ahead JiaQi is compared to Hope. He's a level higher than some of these solo lanes right now. Alk?
It's tough. It's tough. Now 4 items has the GA. It is incredibly difficult for AL to find the backline access. Shanks has to come up huge. Hope as well, but I think the team fight is just too slow. When we saw AL find success, they needed to wait for some of these members from RNG to get whittled away at. Now RNG on the precipice of getting their first win here in the groups of placements. And I mean, they're just kind of looking for anything, any little bit of angles that they can find. Niket does not have that flash, and it is another inhibitor going down.
AL, at some point, we got to look for that big Vladimir combo. Glacial Prison going to be dodged by Xiaoxu with the Hollowed Mist. Big engage tool for AL down as they lose another inhibitor, and RNG are just going to swing their tempo back up to the top side. They refuse to take their foot off the gas.
A minute before the Baron, that is going to be the next objective that we see. If RNG grab this, you have to think that is the end of the game. Vi nowhere near the area. They're trying to play on 2 lanes right now. Keep up the pressure and stop AL from getting any vision outside of their base. You even have this bottom lane wave as well. There's so many members, so much damage from this RNG composition. And AL are just trying to buy minutes, precious seconds to survive in this game.
That's another engage hold that's going to be down. I know the cooldown is quick on Solar Flare, but AL right now are trying to protect their base without Glacial Prison or Solar Flare. So how can they really punish RNG for overstepping by this point? It's a lot of pressure put onto Shanks to find that go button, but luckily RNG are going to waver because they know that Baron you called out, Alk, is in 30 seconds, and they're going to have premier positioning. It is a complete dark forest for AL to walk into.
I think the big point for me here is JiaQi. That player gold is awesome, but guess what he's just finishing? A Bloodthirster, so you have an additional amount of Omnivamp. Full build, 5-item Kaisa. The only way this gets better is if he's able to pick up the Zephyr, maybe an Elixir as well, but those are just toppings as Tarzan trying to push forward, trying to push the vision line of anyone's legend. They remember, 2 inhibitors are down. These super minions are going to help RNG push. JiaQi's just on this objective. Are they going to try to make the
turn?
turn?
Milkyway's going to go in. The season assist goes flat. Great segue pull. Shanks goes in the back win for Tangyuan, but JiaQi's falling forward. Hope flashes out to get over the wall here, but they let the Gwen sing out. AL have to play the fight from back to front, and Flandre's finally stepping up. Double knockup from Shanks. JiaQi, he won't fall yet. Goes into the GA. It's a triple kill for Flandre. JiaQi's the only one left up, but AL have done it. They fought their way back in.
Oh my god! JiaQi does not use the flash, and there are still so many turrets. They can't even push their top side. They're going to try to get through all of these turrets in the mid lane. Their base is getting destroyed by super minions right now. The inhibitor has respawned in the bottom lane. It's only going to be a single turret here for AL, but the precious moments that we were talking about finally come on true. It is a Baron start. I think this is risky. Tarzan, you do not have the real estate for this. It's going to make Shanks tank this up for him, and that'll be the purple worm going over to anyone's legend.
Tangyuan is going to respawn. They're not going to teleport in. They're going to give it. And we should get a replay look at this last fight, and we will, Alk. But this was finally the Flandre Vladimir you were waiting on.
I mean, it's just this ultimate, right? The fact that they don't have the cease and desist. This engage from Shanks not landing. Great cancel from Tangyuan. But he is out of this fight now. There's no Aurora available. That's a large portion of their damage. I'm honestly just surprised at the, I think, the word I want to use is the poise from a player like JiaQi, not using his flash, just letting himself die. We're getting a play. We're back in the picture. Dragon spawning in 18. There's no soul for either team. And this is just AL wasting their Baron timer.
And this is the go in for RNG. They're going on to Kael. They committed a lot just for the support. Shanks whiffs on the Fate Shield, has to immediately go back out as Flandre. Uses the Segue pool to get a huge heal. Goes into another stage. Shanks flashing forward. JiaQi flashes himself out. It's complete pandemonium, but it's JiaQi that's untouched, and that means RNG's got one hell of a chance in the fight. Hope goes into the stasis, but he's the only one left up. Has to Eston floats over the wall, but it's the solo lanes that get it done. RNG are going to steal a game from AL to find their first split win of split 2.
Oh, yes, baby. RNG, we are so back. They're going to get the inhibitors. Tangyuan's going to recall. He'll teleport when the minion wave hits the turret, and that's it. AL, you thought you were going to get some flawless games. Well, guess what? RNG, they never give up.
They don't give up, and they just shook Group B up. Wow, I mean, we went from a 24-minute slapfest from AL last time we saw them. The Thunder Talk groaning game. And you and I came into this matchup thinking it was just going to be business as usual, wrap it up in a calm fashion. But the question that now remains that I pose to you, Dimitri, is that the RNG we were wanting to see with more time after a disappointing split 1?
Hey, I think that is. We got to see JiaQi really carry most of this game. Milkyway and Tangyuan actually performing as a duo. Fantastic stuff from RNG. And this was the RNG coming out of Split 1 that had me so excited and saying they should be coming out second in this group. Now we have to think Ultra Prime's performing on the day. Royal Never Give Up may be back. I don't know. Group B might be it.
Group B went from the AL Cakewalk Snooze Fest, started with some rough games of League of Legends, but we ended off with a firework. I mean, what a finish here. Now, I mean, Alk, we got to revisit all these conversations about the group now, right? I mean, you talk about Ultra Prime, felt comfortable getting a 2-3 spot. That kind of gets shook up. And Thunder Talk have to be watching this matchup and thinking, are we going to have to fight just to avoid Nirvana group?
Yeah. Who would have thought Thunder Talk is potentially the one in jeopardy? I will say, for AL, games like this happen. I think that is part of the format. As a best of one, I want to take nothing away from the level of gameplay that we got from a team in RNG. But AL, for the rest of this group stage now, you're on watch. Because we saw, I think, some of the games that were pretty kind of jeopardizing for them in the grand finals. Tarzan kind of just running it down, not running it down, but getting caught quite a bit. Flandre not having the same impact that he usually has, especially in those first 2 games on Gwen that we saw. This feels like the same AL that we had been getting in Split 1, but finally, RNG were able to take it, and that's the point of a best of 1, right? Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and that's why we love it in this new format. The first big step forward for an RNG roster, and while, you know, they had the rookie of the split by our metrics in JiaQi come up huge. milkyway, as that hype jungle prospect, we're waiting for him to pop. You know, just like you gave a lot of credit to Junhao on that Lee Sin game, I think milkyway was stellar at just not having any fear and finally playing Vi the way you got to. Got to give credit to milkyway really being that fire starter as well, because without him, JiaQi doesn't get to have those big team fight wins. You don't get to see Tangyuan's Aurora have the huge effect it does. So this is the RNG, like you said, Alk, that people were waiting to see.
Just impressive stuff. I'm hopeful that we can get to see more games like this, because it's very easy to say, like, hey, we could ride the momentum. Like, let's get excited for RNG, but it's going to be 4 days before we see Group B again, and anything can happen in those times. Honestly, again, it is the fact that it is a best of 1. This could just be a fluke. We could get to day 2 and just be like, oh, well, anyone's legend still finished 5-1. All right, they're first in anyway. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. Good to see RNG not go out 0-3, but we need to see more games, and we need to see them pick up victories if they want a chance at even playing for Group Ascend.
Let's soak in, though, while we can, the biggest win of the split so far for RNG, even if it is in that best of 1 metric. And you can see the damage numbers here. Got to give a credit to Hope on this Ezreal. Was really churning out a ton of damage, but it was the commitment to this dive composition that really shone through. And you're going to see in these highlights from milkyway, Tangyuan, and JiaQi.
I got to say, I feel bad for Hope. He has like almost 40% of his team's damage. His solo laners let him down this game. Something that we're not used to saying, at least this year so far. Shanks, one of the most consistent members in Split 1. And Flandre and him just did not have a say in this game. Like, the Yone ults were not great. Up against Tangyuan for a majority of the game were pretty lackluster. And Flandre, while he did have, you know, like 1 or 2 of those big ultimates with this Vladimir, he kind of just walked around and did not a lot. So, sucks to see, especially for Hope, who has been, I think, after that run on JDG in 2020, where they were the summer champions and they end up going to Worlds, they get to they get to semifinals, lose to T1. After that, his career just never really recovered. And hopefully with AL, he's able to do that now, already getting to grand finals yet again. But it's games like these where you gotta feel bad, because there's only so much you can do on AD carry. Unless you are a Kai'Sa, you have to be, you know, you're not on a hyper carry. Kai'Sa versus Ezreal is just a different beast.
Playing Kai'Sa this well, I mean, that it's almost like, you know, when you talk about like the elite AD carry players, like it's on my checklist as an AD carry player myself, like I need to have that like Kai'Sa-esque performance, because it's just such a hard champion to navigate around fights. Like, you make one small misstep on Kai'Sa, you become completely useless. But if you are locked in like you're seeing JiaQi do, we saw some big games out of JiaQi Love on these Kai'Sas as well. Yeah, we had a big one. It's game altering. There's no champion that's so volatile like Kai'Sa is, and when it's on, like JiaQi's was, this is the type of games you see.
We're cool with JiaQi getting a player of the game. Yeah.
I will pull the plug on my router again and blame my internet company if he doesn't get this MVP.
All right, fair.
Like, come on.
Fair.
We're the 80 carry desk here, Alk. I mean, like, we gotta back up the boy.
They can't stop us from voting. So, really exciting for a player like him. Won our Rookie of the Split in Split 1. Very well deserved, especially. And going to be exciting to watch this RNG. Can they live up to, I think, the ceiling that we have seen from some of these players like we saw today? Or specifically in this game. I don't know about if all of today's games were